Hi there, Steve from Backcountry Gallery here, and today we're going to go a slightly different direction. I've been busy getting ready for all my fall photography trips, and it got me thinking about all the non-photography things we like to take along with us on these trips. So instead of a photo tip, I'd like to talk about one of the tools I use to prepare for all of my photo trips. I know it doesn't maybe sound too exciting right now, but stick with me here. I think you're going to like this. So I want to start with a question. Have you ever left on a trip and you had that nagging feeling in the back of your mind that you forgot something important? You know what? I think we all have, and more often than not, we actually did forget something important. Well, about 5 years ago, I put together a master list that I use every time I take a trip, and it's been evolving ever since. And I'm going to give it to you at the end of this video. And now, I know, having a list isn't like some great secret or anything, but I think there are a lot of folks out there who either don't use one or they just make a quick list before their trip, just specifically for that trip, and then realize they forgot to put something important on it once they're out there and wishing they had it. I have my master list on my computer and I use it for every single trip. Since it's been evolving for over 5 years now, as opposed to being thrown together on the spot, I know it covers everything I could possibly require. I don't need to worry about what I forgot because frankly, if I haven't needed it for the last 5 years, probably don't need it at all. I've also shared it with some of my friends and they say it's really brought down that whole, oh my gosh, am I forgetting something stress level before a trip, and actually makes getting packed much, much faster. In fact, as an example, I packed for my 2-week Yellowstone trip in just about 2 hours by going off of this list. Now this list is very extensive and it covers pretty much any situation I could possibly encounter. In fact, I've used it when traveling to the Arctic in November and when traveling to Florida in July, same list. I've used it for every type of photo trip you can imagine and it has never let me down. I always have just what I need with me. So how's it work? It's actually pretty simple. First, before each trip, I print off a copy of my master list. Then I spend a few minutes crossing off every item that isn't going to go on that trip. For example, for this video, I was heading out to Yellowstone in late September. I was pretty sure I wasn't going to need shorts or water shoes this time, so those got crossed off the list. Then once I have everything crossed off the list, then I go ahead and I'm left with just the stuff that I need, and I go find that stuff, I sort it into boxes and put it into my truck, and I'm ready to go. Now, I have the list broken down into sections to make it easier to stay organized. That way I'm not jumping from cameras to socks to granola bars. It's all put together in a very orderly fashion, at least in my mind it is. Now, the list I'm going to give you to download has some notes in it, and they're in blue, and those are from me, explaining the reasons for some of the seemingly maybe odd items on there. Most of the stuff is pretty self-explanatory though. One area I do want to mention briefly is the camera section. I do both still and video, and honestly the list is going to reflect that. The list shows mostly accessories though, and not specific things like a Nikon D800 or a Nikon 2470. And there's a good reason for this. The reason is I have my gear pretty well organized in my travel bags, and it's like that all the time. It's just kind of a grab and go operation with the bodies and the lenses. I actually end up going through the bags before I leave, and I end up taking out stuff I know that I'm not going to need for this particular trip. That's why there's not a giant list of my gear at the top of my master list. Obviously, if you want all your gear at the top of your own master list, if that works better for you, awesome, do it. The main idea here is to find a system that works for you each and every time without fail. Now, if you'd like a copy of my list, feel free to download it from the link below. I'll put it right there, and I'll also put a link in the description. It's a standard MS Word doc, so you'll be able to adjust and modify it to your heart's content. And speaking of that, I do encourage you to modify this list. What works for me may not work for you. Let me give you a couple examples. When I go, I'm pretty modest when it comes to food. I have very simple stuff. Other people like to pack a full-on buffet with them. If I'm camping, I don't need much more than, say, a tent and a sleeping bag. Others create a mini resort right there at the campground. Modify the list so it works for you. And honestly, I still do minor modifications to my own personal list from time to time. Now, hopefully the list will help, and if nothing else, provide you with some ideas for items to take along in your next trip maybe you hadn't thought of before. Pretty cool. Well, that about covers it. Thanks so much for stopping by and watching the video today. I promise next time we're going to do a photo tip. If you've enjoyed this video though, please, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the like button below and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me, and I appreciate everyone who does that. Also, make sure to stop by my website, sign up for my free email newsletter so you never miss a tip, and thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.